As Karen said, I'm Heather Ouimette. I'm the Director of Sales and Catering for the resort at Glade Springs. And I'm really excited to be here today. I really love having the opportunity to talk about our tourism and hospitality industry. I don't think it gets as much attention as it should in all of our aspects of what we do. And so I'm glad to have this platform, and I'm so glad that we have our panelists that are here today that are going to share this with you. The tourism industry, what can I say? It's really incredible. My journey started out a lot like many. I needed a summer job. And so Glade Springs was hiring for servers, and I applied and landed that job. But what I didn't know is that summer changed my life. So I've been there for 22 years. I've been in many different departments, jobs, positions, and it has been so incredible to be a part of our tourism and hospitality industry. And I have been able to have 2 decades of my life to be able to immerse myself in the charm of the hospitality and tourism industry. And I know that when everyone gets a little piece of it, they never want to let it go. So I think that all of us, especially here who have been in this industry, have been in it for a while. So really excited to be able to introduce them to you and to get our presentation started. First, we're going to have a presentation by Ennis Smith, who is with the West Virginia Department of Tourism. She is the Director of Destination Development. And today she is going to give us a treat for a little presentation. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Ennis to the stage. Thank you.
All right. Well, Thank you, Heather, so much, and thank you, everyone here, for the opportunity to be here today. I'm going to come out from behind the podium there a little bit so I can see my slides. But as Heather said, my name is Ennis Smith, and I am Director of Destination Development for West Virginia Department of Tourism, which is an honor to serve in that role and to have the opportunity to go across the state, travel and meet other folks who are working in the industry, and talk with them about how much our industry has grown. And just a personal story, since Heather started out with her first job in tourism, one of my very first jobs was at Pipestem State Park at the pool snack bar. So that was my start in tourism. But what I'm going to cover today, first of all, is just the state of the industry, so where we are, where we're going, where we've been the past couple of years in terms of economic development and how tourism plays a role in that across our state. And then I'm going to talk about what we're doing at the departmental level, as well as some resources that I want all of you to be aware of and make sure that everyone here who is part of a tourism business or who knows tourism businesses and organizations can help share those resources and make sure everyone's aware of what's out there to help grow the industry even more. So this is the most state government slide I have. This is the mission statement for our department here. But what I want to focus on in sharing this is that we do more than just the marketing and public relations side of things. Our mission is really, yes, marketing, public relations, showcasing West Virginia as a brand for visitors to come and see, but it's also trying to make our industry more resilient by connecting tourism businesses with resources. And, our focus is on that overall economic impact of the industry and trying to build that where we can. So just some numbers that we always want to share from last year here. We measured over $7 billion in economic impact last year. That's higher than it's ever been for this industry in West Virginia. It's a huge accomplishment that we're having that much impact across the state. $887 million in taxes coming in, 59,000 jobs supported by tourism, and nearly $2 billion in income coming to West Virginians through this industry. And when you look at the national picture, it's actually even more impressive because West Virginia has seen a 17% increase compared to the United States, overall 1% increase within this same time frame. So we're looking at between 2019, before the pandemic, and comparing that to today to see that increase. And you can look at the chart here and see over time, we already had that momentum as an industry growing. They're starting around 2016, 2017, and then of course dipped for COVID, and the momentum continues. We're looking at hopefully over $6 billion next year in traveler spending that's projected. And the impacts are all across the state. So it's every county, every region where we're seeing growth. 14.5 million per day that visitors are spending in the state when you break it down per day. And then this metric I think is really interesting that we have this year, that if the tourism industry just went away and we were not seeing any visitors, we weren't seeing any income, any taxes coming in through that industry, then every household in West Virginia would have to pay $715 more in their taxes to keep the same level of government services that we have today, thanks to those tax dollars coming in. So that's a picture of where we are in terms of the numbers and the impacts. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing at the state level in terms of marketing and public relations. And I want to start with the audience that we're trying to reach. So this audience has expanded over the past few years. I was at a meeting with Secretary Ruby earlier in the week, and she was saying that this map used to look a lot different. So you can see the metro regions all around us that we're marketing to. You can see Florida is another market we're reaching with our advertising, and even Canada and Europe most recently over the past couple of years. That's really starting to ramp up. But it used to be a lot smaller. We were just advertising to metro regions that were a lot closer to us. And in terms of the metrics for our website, our web traffic, our socials, those are up across the board. It's always really impressive for me to get those numbers from our web team and see how we're continuing to grow there. All of our advertising, including the advertising that we do in partnership with tourism partners across the state, it's driving folks back to our website, to their websites. Web traffic is really how people plan trips today. Of course, there's word of mouth as well, but web traffic, I heard a statistic the other day that people are scrolling at least 52 miles with their thumbs every year. And our advertising, it doesn't just, one of the outcomes is not just attracting visitors. Of course, that's the main goal, but there's also a halo effect with that advertising, that in terms of these other metrics, like, is West Virginia a good place to live, a good place to start a career, a good place to retire, to go to college? All of these other economic development related statements, when we ask folks who have seen our ads, whether they think West Virginia is a good place to retire, to move to, all those things, they're more likely to say that if they have seen our advertising. So this is not just about getting visitors to come, but actually getting folks to move here as well. So 58% of those who saw at least one West Virginia tourism ad said they strongly agreed that West Virginia is a place I'd really enjoy visiting. And our cooperative advertising program. So this program is the matching program that we have. It's really one of our best incentives and resources. And I'm moving now in the presentation into the resources that I want to make sure that you all are aware of and can spread the word about to others who are working in the industry. So this matching program, if you haven't heard of it, it's up to a 75% match that the state is putting in for advertising. And you can go online, you can apply and be part of this program each season and purchase ads. And what that means is a tourism partner, and I should back up and say the 75% match is for regional buys. So that's something we want to encourage, is regions working together to buy advertising through this program, because we know that folks are not just thinking, I want to travel to one town, to one county. Visitors are really looking at this from a regional perspective when they're planning their trips. So with this program, it's a 50-50 match for individual partners who are, say, an individual attraction who wants to buy into it, but it's a 75% match for those regional groups. And so when you think about that, if it's a $10,000 advertising package that you'd want to buy through this, if you're part of that regional group, that regional buy, the state is putting in $7,500, if I'm using the $10,000 example there. And that $2,500 is then split between the regional partners. So it's a great deal. We're also getting those ads at a reduced rate in the first place because we're buying them on a larger scale than an individual partner would be doing. And this program has worked really well for us. We purchased more than $23 million in advertising and worked with over 130 partners across the state since 2017. The other types of services that we have to offer are brochure distribution through our welcome centers. We have a media library of photos and videos that folks can use for free. We have media familiarization, or FAM trips, that we plan each year, multiple trips where we're bringing in travel writers, journalists, influencers to come and tour around the state. And we're often bringing them to this region, to southern West Virginia, and showcasing the wonderful offerings that are here. We also have things like on-site event support where we can bring our Airstream. You can request our vacation guide, all kinds of different services for tourism partners. And we also have a set of services that are outside of just PR and marketing, more into the industry development. So every month we have webinars for the industry, different trainings that could be anything from applying for grants to workforce funding to one of the recent ones we had was about how to capture vertical video. Vertical video is super important for everyone who's on social media and trying to attract those visitors. So some other resources, just to keep listing them down there, we also have events that we host each year. So Tourism Day at the Legislature is in January. We bring the industry together and we make sure that the legislators are aware of the impact of our industry across the state. We have the Governor's Conference on Tourism. It's coming up in September. It's going to be in Charleston this year, and it's a multi-day event for training for the industry, again, to make sure that everyone working in tourism has all the skills and all the information needed. We try to bring in experts, even internationally, to that. And we also offer assistance with international tourism. We have a consultant who we work with. So any tourism business or region who's interested in building international tourism should contact me. I'll make sure you have my card if you're interested after this, and we will connect you with our consultant working on international tourism. Also trade shows, which is a part of building that international tourism base as well, and every year we're working on research to show the industry's impact and visitor trends. And then the next part of what I'll talk about is, services that we've added more recently in terms of economic development. One is the Tourism Development Act tax credit. So this is something I get to work on, and it's good for anyone who is an investor who wants to build up a tourism business or expand one or create a new destination, or anyone who's pitching to investors who are coming into your communities and thinking about, making an investment that's over $1 million in money coming in to either create, a new destination. Maybe it's a new hotel, a new outfitter, even a restaurant that's really high-end, and a farm-to-table restaurant recently got one of these tax credits. But any level of investment that's over $1 million in creating a new tourism destination or expanding one, please come talk to me about this, because those investors can get back up to 35% of their investment in credit against their sales and use tax after the destination opens. And we also offer more general assistance in terms of just general business development. If any tourism business is out there and they're saying, okay, these are my goals for how I want to grow, how I want to expand and reach more visitors, we will meet with that business and talk to them about, okay, what grants can you apply for? What lending can you apply for that we know about and can help spread the word about? So we individually meet with folks on an individual basis for that. And some other things we try to spread the word about are West Virginia EDA lending for tourism. That's something that folks can look into. West Virginia Department of Highway signage. So, of course, it's very important. Visitors coming down the road, you want to make sure that they are seeing the right signs to get off the highway and come to your business. We will connect you with the appropriate folks there and try to just be your advocate as you work through that signage process as well. And there's the Industrial Road Access Fund for if you're trying to actually build a new road or improve a road, then that's another fund to look into. Tourism Works, that's the name for our workforce training program that we have. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here on the next slide. But just to sum up, in general, we want to be your advocate for other state government agencies too. If you're a tourism business, that you could come to us and we can get you connected with the right people to help you with whatever you're encountering. So, Tourism Works, train your team. Let me start off with saying the workforce is one of the big challenges that we see as an industry coming in the next few years, is maintaining a workforce and having enough people to work in the tourism industry and fill the jobs that are available. The West Virginia Higher Education Commission, they've shared data with us that they project there are going to be 21,000 job openings each year in tourism through 2030. So every year, 21,000 openings to fill. And their estimate is that 10,000 of those job openings each year are management level positions. So these are not just entry-level positions. These are positions all across the board that are going to be open and we're going to be seeking candidates for, and hoping that West Virginians can fill many of those jobs and that we can bring in folks from even surrounding states we're probably going to need to fill those jobs as well. So that's the challenge that we're looking at. And we got a $5.1 million grant from EDA a couple of years ago to help address this challenge. That's what Secretary Ruby, our Secretary of Tourism, wanted to put those funds to, was specifically workforce. And so we've done a range of programs, from helping to revamp the curriculum starting at the middle school level, launching the very first governor's school for tourism, which is going to be a new governor's school coming this year and taking folks around the state. They're going to be coming through your region and showcasing the wonderful offerings here. But so we've done a whole range of things, but the program I want to talk about today is Train Your Team. It's part of the Governor's Guaranteed Workforce Training, and it's a partnership with Department of Economic Development at the state level. So this program, Train Your Team, we really want to spread the word about. We want people to be applying for this funding. It's $2,000 per employee per year that eligible tourism businesses can apply for in order to train their employees in some aspect of training that's needed, that's going to allow them to offer new services at their businesses or allow them to expand their capacity to serve more visitors in some way. And the process, we've tried to make it as simple as we can for being part of a federal grant, which I always have to say that caveat. But so we start off with an online eligibility check. If you Google Tourism Works West Virginia, this will come right up. Train your team, well, it'll be even faster. But there's a very short online form. I think you could fill it out while I'm talking today before I get to the next 5 or so slides. It's really that short, telling us a little bit about what your training needs are, what your business is all about. Again, you do have to be a visitor serving tourism business to apply. And then we have an initial meeting with you. That's usually a call, like a Zoom call, and we'll talk with you about what those training needs are, give you a little bit of insight into the application, and there's a formal application it's just a PDF that's a few pages long that you fill out, and again, give us some more information. And then we schedule the training for you, and you report outcomes. Another great thing about Train Your Team is we're not even transferring any funding to the tourism business directly. The Department of Economic Development is doing the contracting. They're the ones they look at who you want your trainer to be, and they'll contract directly with that trainer, pay them. You never even have to worry about getting the money and reporting on how you spent it. So who's eligible for this? I mentioned it's any kind of tourism visitor serving business or organization. That includes government partners. So your county parks, your county agencies who are working on tourism can also apply for this, and cities. And then we have some examples of training and education programs that are covered under Train Your Team here, but these really are just to get you started thinking. It can be a very customized training. You may even come to us and say, hey, we need to work with New River. We need to work with one of the local community and technical colleges to create something new for our employees. And as long as we can, help make that happen, then that's certainly something that can be paid for as part of this program. And so just some closing tips on Train Your Team. Again, you need to emphasize in the application that expanded capacity. This is really for training that's going to allow you to offer something new to serve more visitors in the future. And if it does have a certification as an outcome, that's helpful to us. That's helps show a concrete, that you've attained a new degree, a new certificate, a concrete outcome there for the training. We don't usually pay for conference attendance unless you can make the argument that that conference is really going to have a concrete new skill that you're coming out of after the conference. And we haven't really focused on marketing as one of those, the things that is funded under this program to date, because that's something that, we at Department of Tourism are trying to provide that marketing education through our industry webinars, through our governor's conference, other sources throughout the year. But again, if you can make that argument that the marketing training that you're applying for is going to be something that'll really allow you to offer something new and expand your capacity, it's certainly not out of the question. And then I already mentioned in terms of contracting and payment, this is something that Department of Economic Development will pay the trainer directly for. So the tourism business is you're never having to worry about getting reimbursed for that. So for this program, Nicholas Nunnery at Department of Economic Development and Amanda Legg on our office, Department of Tourism, she's our Grants and Incentives Coordinator. These are the contacts who are going to be reaching out to you, meeting with you about this program. But I'm happy to put you in contact with them. My very last slide here is my information. And just to sum up, I hope that you learned something new today about the impact of our industry, but also the resources that we have, and hopefully, even if they're not something that applies directly to you, that you can help spread the word and let others know who are working in the tourism industry or thinking about entering the tourism industry that we have a lot of supports at the state level. We really want to support businesses across the board. And I have to say as well, you have a version of our office here with your local CVBs, who you're gonna meet here as part of the panel in a moment, that the local convention and visitors bureaus, they are doing this same work in terms of supporting the industry. And here in your region, you're really lucky to have a couple of great ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Ennis. That was very informative. You can go ahead and have a seat if you'd like. I will go ahead and go to the next part of our program. Yes, right there. That I will introduce the rest of our panel. So with us today, in addition to Ennis, and again, let's give her another round of applause. That's a great presentation. Thank you so much. I have some champions of our industry with us today, and I'm excited to introduce them and hear what they have to say. We're going to have a very great conversation. First, I'm going to introduce Lisa Strader, who is the Director of Visit Southern West Virginia. And as she makes her way to the stage, I'm going to introduce Becky Sullivan, who is the Executive Director of the New River Gorge CVB and the President of the Fayette County Chamber of Commerce. And last but not least, I have Josh Faber, who is the General Manager for Winterplace Ski Resort. Welcome. Thank you. Well, I first just want to say thank you so much for your time and being here today. And I also want to thank the Chamber for this incredible event that they have put on. Every one of the sessions have been informative, and it's important to our area. And so for everyone that is here today, I really appreciate you being here. And I hope that you go away with a lot more knowledge than when you came here. So we're going to get our tourism panel started. But first, I just want to it's hard for me to turn around and see you guys, so I'm just going to stand right here. First, I just want each of you to introduce yourself. Tell us how you got into the hospitality tourism industry and what you're doing right now. So, Josh, we'll start with you, if that's okay.
Perfect. Thanks for having me. My name's Josh Faber. Once again, I'm the General Manager at Winterplace Ski Resort. The little history on myself. I got into the ski business 20 years ago because I just wanted to ski for free. So I got a job as a lift operator, about as simple as you can get. And next thing you know, management took me under their wings, and I was running the lift department, learned how to make snow, groom, drive snowcats, and it kind of took off from there. My career's taken me all over the country, from, mostly started in the Midwest to the upper Northeast, to the Southwest, and now here to West Virginia. So we've luckily been all over the place. I've been in West Virginia this is my third winter, and I'm very excited to be here and all of the exciting things the state's doing. I think we have a lot of growth ahead of us, and I look forward to being a part of it.
Thank you, Josh. Winterplace is growing, and they're doing a lot of fun stuff that I hope that we're going to hear about today from you. So we'll save that for a little bit later. But let's go to Becky Sullivan. Would you like to talk?
Thank you. First, I want to thank the Beckley-Raleigh County Chamber for hosting this event and having us on the tourism panel today. I am Becky Sullivan with the Fayette County Chamber of Commerce, New River Gorge CVB, and Bridge Day, which is only 192 days away. So I wear some different hats, but I am originally from Fayetteville. I've been in the tourism industry about 20 plus years. I was with Visit Southern West Virginia for 9, and I've been in my current position for 4. So I am ingrained in tourism. I love tourism. Growing up in Fayetteville, it's been a part of my life as a child and going all the way through. I graduated high school and went to Yellowstone National Park to work, and that is the oldest national park in the U.S. And now I am in a position where I am promoting America's newest national park, the New River Gorge National Park and Preserve. So full circle, all tourism related, which we love, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Next, Lisa, would you like to go? Please.
I had to just ask if it was just on. I need to push something. I'm Lisa Strader. I'm with, obviously, Visit Southern West Virginia. I'm the director. And I guess I feel like my career has went full circle as well. Probably my first job in tourism was as wait staff. You know, at that time, I didn't correlate it with hospitality industry, but looking back now, I realize it was. But my first real entry was working where I am now. We were called were we the Mountaineer Travel Council at that time? I feel like we've changed names a few times, but I came as a temporary employee while our current Beckley events director was on maternity leave. Now Gavin's a lawyer, so I'm giving away how old I am. And then that's when I realized how important it was and how fun it could be. And I've bounced around a little after that. I worked for an outdoor adventure company for 9 years and got that perspective of what the offerings in Southern West Virginia are. And then I came back to where I'm at now, and I've been there since 2006. Went through multiple positions with the marketing and PR until now I am the director. But I will tell you, we still do all the marketing and PR. I feel like that's what we do. So everybody on our staff is part of that mission. So.
I love that. Thank you, Lisa. Ennis, do you want to tell us a little bit more other than your job at Pipestem, which I spent a lot of time at the Pipestem pool, so I probably saw you there.
We probably crossed paths. We didn't even know. Yeah, of course. So my name is, again, Ennis Smith, and I actually grew up in Athens, West Virginia, so not too far down the road from here. And as I mentioned, Pipestem was my first entry into the tourism industry. From there, I went to Marshall University, and I actually studied anthropology and went to University of Maryland after that and studied anthropology. But the focus of that work really was heritage tourism and trying to look at how cultural tourism and heritage tourism specifically can be part of the economic drivers for a region. So it's funny, when I was at Marshall, my senior project was coming down to the New River Gorge region and interviewing people who were working in the tourism industry at the time. And that was before it was a national park. I mean, it was a national river, but that was before we had the crown jewel of, America's newest national park. So it's so cool to have, started out at Marshall thinking about some of those things and how tourism can be such an important part of the economy, and then finally getting to come back to West Virginia and be a part of that again. So after University of Maryland, after my work there, I actually lived on Virginia's Eastern Shore for a while, and I ran a small museum out there. I tell people I was the director of that museum, but I was also the only employee. So it was a fun experience, and it was like firsthand, a beach town tourism that was so seasonal, so dependent on tourism on Chincoteague Island, that I think it was a great example, coming back to West Virginia and just having part of that perspective of what that part of the front lines of tourism are all about. So.
That's great, Ennis. Thank you so much. Well, as you can see and hear from our stories in the tourism industry, it's really kind of the best industry to be in. I mean, it's a lot of fun. You get to play where you work, and same for me. I actually worked at Winterplace ski resorts when I was 16. Really not for the skiing, just more because I thought it was a cool job. And I was a ski tech, so I actually avoided boots. So I was really glad about that. So went straight into a ski tech, and I did that for many, many winters. And I have a great respect for Winterplace Ski Resort, and what Josh is doing there now is incredible. So actually, since we're talking about Winterplace, I'm just going to kind of go over there. Josh, I mean, this past winter, you really collaborated with some of the some local food partnerships with a food truck, with a family weekend. There's a lot of new things happening at Winterplace, and I would just really love for you to maybe just speak a little bit about that, about the new initiatives that you all have taken.
Yeah, I think coming into Winterplace just a couple seasons ago, I tried to quickly realize the impact of including our neighbors in our community, to where we quickly started to bring in food trucks, which also helps them out. But let's be real, our food and beverage could be overcrowded at times. So it was kind of a two-way street, right? It helped us out, spread out our guests. It also helped out the vendors themselves. We've gotten great feedback from that. I think all of our customers love it. And it, ironically, if you look at the business side, our food revenue has gone up the past 3 years, even with the revenue share piece of it. So that's been great. Another big piece is just trying to bring back the fun. Skiing and snowboarding is obviously a great time, and tubing, but having some of those additional events out at the ski area, I tend to be very family focused these days. I've got 3 little girls that are pretty young, so like a lot of what I do is just me being a parent and kind of what I'm looking for selfishly. But it definitely works. Us as parents, I feel like we're all starving to have some sort of adventure with our kids and create memories, and by no means am I an expert at this, but like to get them off of their screens and get them outside. It's healthy, and I think those moments are always great. And I always share the story, especially in our orientations. Skiing with my kids, if any of you have kids and have ever skied with them, it is the hardest thing you will ever do. You got to load them up in the car. You have to dress them. You have to get to wherever you're going. If it's a 3-hour drive, we all know a 3-hour drive is not very entertaining with 3 children. And by the time you get there, people are crying. Your kids have to go to the bathroom. Like, it's really difficult. But by the end of the day, every time I ski with my kids, there's a moment where I want to scream. But when I'm finished and we're all done, I always can tell myself it is definitely worth it. And I think that feeling that I get personally, I want to try to create that and share that with other families that come to our ski area. And that's been a huge thing. So just trying to bring back the fun, the vendors from Glade and our other hotels in the area, all of these guests that we have, they have to have somewhere to stay. So I think it's a huge piece, and I think a lot of people, when we think of West Virginia, I'm looking around, I see Ace over there. We have all kinds of summer activities, and it's amazing. And when I first moved here, I came from New Mexico, and the skiing was great, mountain biking was epic. I had all these little outdoor niches that were great, and I was kind of sad. I'm like, oh man, West Virginia, here we go. And it took about 2 weeks. I was sitting on a bike trail in the middle of the woods, and I right then told myself, this is actually going to be pretty awesome. And ever since then, I'm super excited to be here, and there's still so much to explore, and we have so much to offer. So just trying to be a part of that, introduce people to the state, and be it winter or summer activities. I've lived all around West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania. And I'm not gonna lie, I never thought at once during those times, like, hey, let's go to West Virginia. And now that I'm here, it's something that I want to try to share. I share it with my friends. I share it with all of our visitors, that there's so much to explore, and that's something to be super proud of and very exciting. So.
That's great. And I can say we have partnered with them this past winter and the winter before with Winterplace, Glade Springs. And we have had so many positive comments from Winterplay, from what they were, people that have been coming for years and years, and what they were used to and what they have now. It's completely changed, and it's really, really just going in the right direction. And Winterplace is just really getting out there and being on the map. And so we're really excited about that, because that does really bring a lot of tourism dollars into our region. Well, the next, I kind of wanted to go a little bit into, strategies and initiatives that we're currently working on, not only for Southern West Virginia, so feel free to jump in for the state as well, but, for Becky or Lisa or any of you, if you wanted to, kind of chime in, what do you believe is essential for accelerating tourism in Southern West Virginia? Or the state?
I'll start. I've got notes on this. I don't know why we're afraid to put this microphone like right in front of our face, but can you hear me okay? Okay. So I think in order for us to accelerate tourism in our areas, we need to collaborate. And I can tell you that on this stage, every single person up here is a partner, sponsor, supporter of Bridge Day. So just collaborating with all of your areas, collaborating with your partners. Lisa does it best. She's got 9 counties that she's covering as a regional CVB. But where Ennis was talking earlier about the co-op advertising, so you've got a 75-25 split. If you work as a region, you split that bill, you're paying nothing for lots and lots of advertising. Let me see, my other notes here. And then, tourists don't know county lines like West Virginians do. West Virginians, we talk in counties. We say we're going to this county, we're going to that county, but tourists don't know county lines. So work together, promote your destination areas as a whole so that you can give the visitors better experiences. You're going to get extended stays. People are going to come here, stay longer, have a better experience to talk about, and return as a visitor and spend more money here in our state.
Thank you, Becky. Anybody else want to echo on that?
I'll chime in. A big piece, kind of, we've also tried to focus on is, one, we have the backing of the state, right, which has been great. They're putting out the funds. They're trying to build that awareness for our amazing state. And I've probably, some of you have probably heard me say it before, but a big piece of where we're trying to come from at Winterplace is our internal culture. I want to try to build, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm just trying, but try to build a team that's proud of not only Winterplace, but of our state and our local communities. And I think it starts internally with them, because if we have people come and visit us and they don't have a good experience, like, they're not gonna come back, especially in my world, skiing. So we have to do everything we can to have that experience. And I think it starts with our staff, even the entry level, because, there's probably half of you in here that have actually all worked at Winterplace at some point. And I think it's amazing. And a big piece of, our workforce, it's their very first job ever. So we're getting everyone their green. Let's be real, work ethic and things like that these days are a little more difficult to dig out of people, but I think we're trying to set them on the right path of, this is your responsibility, this is your, obligation to us, and try to show them, like, just how to be a good worker and then introduce them into the rest of the community. But I think we really have to do a good job for our guests that show up. And, in our orientation, once again, it's a long shot and it's a big goal, but we have to aim high. I tell everyone, I want every customer that leaves here to feel obligated to tell a friend about their experience in Winterplace and in West Virginia. I want them to feel obligated to tell a friend that it was that awesome. And yes, it's a very lofty goal, but I think that's how we continue to grow this industry. Tourism as a whole is get them to come and experience it and then want to come back and bring someone with them. So that's kind of how we're working on it.
I would add to that, we've got the tourists, we have the culture, is our communities. We do have to have the buy-in of the communities. One thing that I think I hear the most is, we don't see your ads, we don't see what you're putting out there, and it's because, our goal is to bring people here to visit our state. But we do want the people who we are serving, whether they're a tourist business or not, to realize the value that tourism is bringing into our economies. And sometimes that, we forget to do that. We forget to toot our own horns. We forget to put those numbers out there showing what we're doing. And when somebody is coming here and they're going to the coal mine, or they're going to Raft, or they're going to Tamarack, they're doing these, or to Winterplace, they're doing these activities. They're also going to our gas stations, they're going to our restaurants, they're going to, they may have to, who knows what services they're going to need while they're here. So there is the effect of it's not just all going to, you know, that impact is not going just to tourism businesses. It is helping us as a whole. So I think for the communities to see the value in that we're doing, it is not just for the people visiting, it is for the people here as well.
You know, and I just, you know, if you have something to add, I just want to let you know, Lisa and Becky, I met with Secretary Ruby briefly at Hospitality University at the Greenbrier in February, and she mentioned both of you and what you're doing for your CVBs. She says they are the true boots on the ground working for this area. And I just think that's really incredible that out of all of the CVBs that everyone she works with, and we were just in conversation and she mentioned how great the two of you did. So I think that that's really, really great that you're doing it. And we should probably give them a hand, right? Thank you.
Yeah, I would just add to that really quickly. I mean, their, I think, level of collaboration too between Becky and Lisa and their teams is really amazing, and it is an example for the rest of the state in terms of, you know, it's one of those examples where folks really are working together and not so much emphasizing those county lines or those you know, city limits. In any case, you're thinking about the region and promoting it as a whole and creating that awareness of, okay, first we get West Virginia on the map as something they're thinking about, and then we get southern West Virginia specifically. So.
Yes, exactly. And as we're talking about attracting visitors, you had mentioned international travel, and I know that that is something that we're really moving forward on, especially with the New River Gorge, the national park. So international travel, can you talk about the travelers that we have had or can have or will have in the state or the region?
I can say one thing, and Ennis can probably speak to this better, but Visit Southern West Virginia the last 2 years has went with the Department of Tourism to the International Showcase. And the difference in 1 year was amazing. The first year I went, obviously I didn't know what I was doing either, but I was meeting with these people who I felt like they didn't know who West Virginia was per se, you know, they didn't know what we really had to offer. They were nice, but you know, there was a big learning curve. But in 1 year's time, I met with these people. Some of them were the same, some new, but they were coming to me and saying, look at my photos, look what I put on my website, look at these articles. So as Ennis mentioned, they have a consultant. His name is Scene. He's very entertaining, and and he is definitely working hard to make sure that he puts our name out there. I've called him. He will call you right back. We've set up calls with some of our properties to try to get them on board. I know that, you know, ourselves at ACES went as well. I know they're here, and it's coming. I mean, it's not going to be, I don't think, open the floodgate kind of thing, but it's definitely coming. We're already seeing it, and I think it's definitely a market that we're going to see growth in.
I'm really excited about that too.
Yes, no, but thank you for adding that, because I think that's where there's so much potential for growth, is everyone working together, because the international market, I mean, it's an even larger area that these visitors are going to come and visit. So if you think about someone coming from Europe, coming from Canada, oftentimes they're not planning a trip to one state, they're planning a road trip across a region of the United States. And so we want to be, as West Virginia, part of that road trip that these international visitors are planning. And Travel South, this organization that Lisa mentioned, they have the International Showcase. That group has been a really important partnership for us and for our partners who have attended with us for showcasing West Virginia to international travelers. A lot of times international travelers are also coming through group tours. So it's a whole different ball game for marketing than individual in some ways, because we're you know, focusing on those groups. But with that as well, one of the things that we do at our office is bring international folks who have come to showcase. They are those group tour providers. Sometimes they're international writers, and we will do a familiarization trip with them and drive them around the state. Again, often partnering, we'll reach out to Lisa and Becky and say, hey, and Josh as well, we're bringing these folks through. Can you help us and really showcase your part of the state? And I think that gets back to just that raising awareness about if people don't know about West Virginia, they can't look us up and try to incorporate us in their trip. So it really goes back to that. I think another thing that we're working on is trying to figure out how to measure international tourism. So the research firm that we're working with, that's something we've told them is a priority. We want to try to get better at seeing what are our current numbers and then being able to track that growth as we see more international tourists. That's something we haven't been, having great metrics about so far, but we're hoping to change that. And I'll say, it's usually my litmus test for that is walking around, the parking lot at Winterplace or at the national park and seeing all these different license plates from states, and then that doesn't work with international tourism. So I can't even do my own little case studies.
Do you know, or right off the, have any information of what kind of, or what countries we may be marketing to on a state level?
I know that right now we've focused more on Canada and Europe, and we've been adding some of those markets into the cooperative advertising program through options, and you'll probably see more of those when we release the next set of offerings through co-op in June, more international type markets. But so far, Europe and Canada.
Great. Anything from you, Becky, with international travelers?
I just want to share a little story.
Please.
So we just had this big event, the solar eclipse that came through. We got lucky and had 2 sets of travelers in our parking lot at the visitor center. One was an RV, and it was 2 couples in there. One was from Canada, and one was from the Netherlands. They were traveling together in an RV. They were actually on their way to Summersville to do some RV camping, but doing a whole East Coast tour in the RV with 2 couples. So they came out, and it was like about 20 minutes before the top part of the eclipse. And so we just shared our glasses with them. They hung out with us in the parking lot, and they looked up at the sky, and we all passed glasses around and looked up. And then another family pulled in a van. It was 7 children and 2 parents traveling from New York to Florida. And they came just at the right time to sit and watch the eclipse in our parking lot. So the eclipse brought lots of people together.
That's great. I love that story. That's so good. Josh, do you want to echo on any international travel or?
Yeah, we see more and more of it. It's funny you talk about walking the parking lot. I do that every Saturday and Sunday. I just walk the whole parking lot. But it always baffles me. We were seeing guests from, international from like the Dominican and down south coming north. A lot of our clientele comes from the south, so Florida, Georgia, Alabama, obviously North Carolina. But it's just really neat to see how that is growing, and we just keep it going.
Yeah, just with international travel, and we know that our industry we have a workforce shortage. And you mentioned some really amazing, opportunities for all of us to take advantage of. But in terms of the workforce, what, in your opinions, do you feel that we need to do, I guess, as an industry? I've asked myself this question 1,000 times. How can I get these individuals to do this frontline work that it's not easy, it's not pretty, but the rewards they're priceless sometimes. And I think that that's what our industry or people that look at our industry miss sometimes, is that hard work in return is so intrinsic that you can't really put a price on it. And then I think that sometimes, because we give experiences to people, right? I mean, like a memory. We're not just giving them, here's this or that. I mean, we're giving people memories. And everybody that works in every single department, in every single facet of the tourism industry, Winterplace, someone who's even, cleaning up the boot shop, in the evening, could interact with a guest and could make their entire day. How do you think that we can share that with individuals to get them to maybe be more interested in our industry as an entry level? I know you mentioned a lot of jobs, but what are y'all's thoughts?
Well, I think that the state is already initiating some programs within the schools system. We need to start them young. I know we've heard that theme, and let them know that there are multiple ways to grow in this industry. I think some people have saw hospitality as, like you said, an entry-level job with no growth potential, and that is so far from the truth. I mean, there's so many things that you can, and so many directions that you can take a hospitality and travel career, and I think that's instead of a job, and that's what we need to start looking at it more as a career, and bring some respect to those entry-level positions, because they are very, very valuable. That like you said, somebody cleaning up the boot shop, or someone, cleaning the rooms, or whatever that their job may be their only person that these visitors get the opportunity to interact with. So that is good. That is your face. That's going to be the face of your business, or if that's their experience here. So I think getting people to realize how important they are, and that it's not just a job that you do while you're waiting to something bigger and better to come along.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you for sharing that.
I mean, I'll chime in. I think the programs to our schools and our youth is huge. And, being a parent and just talking about trying to build that pride in our community, and that goes to our workplace. Work really hard on that, like with my children, and then even our staff. You'd be amazed. I will go out to the parking lot and park cars and talk to our parking lot attendants and tell them, you have no idea how important this one position is. You are the very first employee that our guests will see. And I just want you to wave and smile and point in a direction. Half the time they go wherever the hell they want anyway. But at least they're there with a smile and a wave. And it's so important. And just trying to relay that to the staff, all of the staff, that all of these little pieces are, part of the bigger puzzle, and just making sure, as leadership, we're there for them. People ask me, what do? I say I clean toilets and make snow, and our staff sees that, and they, it builds in that internal culture that we're working on, just through our leadership, and that all these little pieces are very important.
Thank you.
I can add to that some too. I mean, I would just echo what both of you have said so far as well in that workforce piece, in terms of making people feel and making them realize how important they are at all levels of working in the industry. One thing that we've worked on that I didn't really mention when I was going through slides is we're working on an online program that's called a Tourism Works certification that should roll out in June. We're working with Blue Ridge Community and Technical College on that, and it's going to be a free online course with modules like greeting guests, being a regional ambassador, problem solving, conflict resolution, and then it's really going to be targeted at those entry-level staff, but also anyone in the tourism industry, just to raise awareness about all the skills that are needed. Because when you think about someone who is parking cars or at the front desk, they need a lot of skills, a lot of interpersonal skills to do that. I think it's kind of a myth that there's any unskilled job out there in our industry. Every one of them has a skill set. And so that program is going to hopefully be super helpful in terms of it'll be a free online course, 1 hour of college credit that folks can get. It'll be about 30 hours they would spend online probably doing this. And hopefully we'll have a program for tourism businesses as well to certify and say, hey, 90% of my staff have gone through this, maybe some incentives tied to that to help encourage people to all take that training. And one of the things we're going to emphasize in it as well is the potential for folks to move up, to be promoted in the industry, and that career aspect of it, that it's not just an entry-level job. It is a job where you can get promoted, you can be managing the same site that you started out. I think there's a lot of examples of folks in the industry who started out in entry-level and then are managing that hotel or that resort at some point. And then another thing I'll just mention again to plug is the Governor's School for Tourism. Again, that is going to be 9th and 10th graders. If you know a 9th and 10th or 10th grader currently who wants to apply for this free 10-day trip across the state that's going to happen in June, this School for Tourism is going to showcase all types of tourism careers across the state. That's the whole idea behind it. We're partnering with WVU on it, and you're going to be going to every travel region across the state. These students are then, the goal is that these students are then going to go back to their schools, back to their communities, and be an ambassador to talk about, I met this person who runs a ski resort. I met this person who runs a ropes course, or at ACE, at Adventures on the Gorge. I met these folks who are part of the rafting industry, and they love their jobs. So I think that's a big part of it too, is just us as an industry being willing to take that time to connect with students, which I'll say every single person who doing some of this workforce work that I've reached out to so far, everyone is willing to take that time and connect with students. It's just sort of a matter of us connecting the dots so that we're showcasing those careers early on.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much for sharing that. And just like Josh said, get the kids out and about, and get them into these outdoor activities, and that will also, I think, strike that interest as well, and for hospitality and tourism. So as we are we've all collaborated with local businesses, and we're all such good tight partners. What other stakeholders or opportunities do you think that we have in this region to give a more authentic tourism experience for any of our visitors? What's something, I guess, that in your specific area that is unique to not just skiing, it's this, or not just the New River Gorge, it's this, or, probably just the New River Gorge, but maybe something else. But, not only Southern West Virginia or Beckley, like what would you say is like one of these like authentic, unique tourism pieces that you want your visitors to take away from?
Well, I find that a lot of visitors are looking for educational experiences as well, especially if they're families, but they want those educational experiences to also be fun, or nobody's going to want to do them. We're very fortunate here in Beckley. We do have the Beckley Exhibition Coal Mine. If someone only has an opportunity to do one thing and they want to know about West Virginia and how we were built, that's where I would tell them to go. So you're gonna, so that's a very unique opportunity. We have Tamarack. You have the artisans. That also, a very unique experience where people can see things that are created and people who are making a living doing those creations. And then obviously, I know Becky will probably talk about the gorge. When you go into the gorge, Thurmond is so unique. And I think we just have so many opportunities with our history and our heritage. I know the Park Service and Coal Heritage Trail, they have some online driving tours that you can do that we always tell people to jump onto for those, because I have found a lot of people who are interested in having that to have the authentic experience. I think they have to understand the state, and understanding the state is understanding our coal, rail, and our history, and I think we have a lot of opportunities here for that through those types of attractions.
That's great. Thank you.
In our area, of course, it's the bridge. We've got Bridge Walk. If they can come on Bridge Day, that's probably the most unique experience that you can get in the New River Gorge, because you're able to walk out on the bridge, watch the base jumpers and that kind of stuff. So that is a very unique experience. But the authentic part of the educational experience, the authentic part of visiting our state, is learning the history, and whether that's taking a whitewater rafting trip down and the guide is telling them stories about the gorge, or going on a bridge walk tour and walking the length of the bridge and hearing that guide tell you the versions of his stories about the gorge. And then there's some new things. They may have always been offered, but I think they're promoting them more. There's some more eco tours and hiking tours that are going to be available this year, because the types of visitor that we're seeing is changing. There are some people that don't want to do the high adventure stuff. They want to come here and they want to take a scenic drive, or they want to take a scenic walk. So those kind of things. So just immersing yourself in the area, seeing the beauty of it and learning about it is super authentic for the New River Gorge.
I love that. Thank you, Becky.
I would add too, I really echo what you all said about the museums, the exhibition coal mine, the bridge walk. It's all amazing, authentic experiences. I think another layer to that is food tourism and the culinary aspect of it, which, of course, we were talking about how Winterplace is expanding your culinary offerings too. We, at the state level, have a culinary trail we've developed. So if you Google, West Virginia Tourism Culinary Trail, you can sign up for that and get prizes by going to some of the restaurants that are on the list. And we've got restaurants in this region that are part of that culinary trail. And that's something that, we really have tried to expand on in the past couple of years, is every visitor who comes here needs to eat. And I mean, when I think about when I travel, that's one of my one of the things I plan the most for is like looking up restaurants in those areas and trying to figure out which restaurants I need to go to. So I think that's another area where we can help support entrepreneurs who are going to enter that space and make sure they're successful in serving visitors.
I just think it's exciting, since I'm relatively new to the state, that like all of the things that you're talking about, I mean, it sounds fun for me, right? Like I haven't done the bridge walk. I actually haven't even been to Bridge Day yet, and there's so many things that I can do. You bring up the culinary piece, and someone was just telling me that they drive like 2 hours just to go to a restaurant, like, a part of something like that. And, I think in my own situation and 3 kids, like you couldn't pay me enough in the world to do that. But it's all like, I just think it's so exciting. And like I said, for me being new, I feel like I'm one of our guests almost, and how do we get to them and expand on that? So I like it.
Thank you, Josh. Well, since you've never been to Bridge Day, I'm going to give Becky the floor to tell us about Bridge Day, a little history. I'm sure you're just full of it, so I want you to go ahead and tell us a little bit about Bridge Day.
So it's 192 days away. It is our state's most unique event. It's our largest one-day festival, always held on the third Saturday of October. Lisa is on the Bridge Day Commission. Winterplace is a sponsor. Lisa's a sponsor. West Virginia Tourism sponsor. Glade Springs partners and brings a van. They bring a shuttle van full of people over. So it's a full day celebration of the bridge, the New River Gorge National Park, base jumping, artisans, vendors, rappelling. I don't want to forget anybody. There's an active Southern West Virginia 5K race. That's the only chance you can run across the New River Gorge Bridge. Taste of Bridge Day is the kickoff event on Friday night. So there's a lot of things happening on that weekend, and it's kind of like our kickoff, end of season party in the New River Gorge area.
It's our kickoff. Your end of season, my kickoff.
Yours kicks off. Yeah, we're kicking off for Winterplace. So it is a unique celebration. It is the only place where base jumpers can legally jump in a national park now. It is a huge labor of love.
That Becky works on all year, and it's incredible. How many people in the audience today have been to Bridge Day? Okay, everybody that hasn't, you have to go this year, okay? You have to go. See Becky and see this event. It is incredible, and tell all your friends.
And it's going to be 70 and sunny on October 19th.
Yep. She's good. That costs you a little extra, but I mean, she's going to work on it. So with the interactive tours, the culinary tours, those kind of things, I know that the state department did a waterfall trail, and you got to do that. And Visit Southern West Virginia has the little passports, and you get the little fun coins. Are we still, as the area of the state, are we still doing things like that? And I always think that is really fun and just a really nice commemorative souvenir to take. I mean, I'm still trying to collect the tamarack one, I think. I still miss that one. So it's like, yeah, I need to get one in my collection. But I know, for example, the chamber, they have their ornaments that they do every year. And people have, collected those for years and don't miss the opportunity to buy the next year. So we're going to make sure that we have that one out with whatever the scene's going to be on it. I'm just curious as to what those fun interactive things are going to be.
Well, I think Ennis should talk about the waterfall trail. We were really excited to get the ones here in Beckley. But I think, and I may be wrong, but I think over 20 of the waterfalls on that trail are in southern West Virginia. Am I?
Oh, that's not a statistic I know off the top of my head, but it's 40 waterfalls on the trail. And I think she might be right that there's a really big concentration of them here in southern West Virginia. Here in Beckley itself, our two newest waterfalls that we added most recently, I believe in October, at the Piney Creek Preserve, the two newest ones. And then there's a whole range of them over in the New River Gorge area, waterfalls, including one at Ace. I know Ace is here. They've got a waterfall on their property. But that waterfall trail, to back up, we launched it, I guess it was 2 Junes ago now, and we've had over 70,000 people check in on their phones. So this is a digital passport you can download. Just look up, West Virginia Waterfall Trail Passport, and you download, or it's not an app, it's actually just a page that you save to your home screen, which even better, you don't have to download an app. But then you can check in at these waterfalls across the state. If you check in at 3 of them, you get a sticker. 10, you get a water bottle. 20, you get a t-shirt that's a West Virginia Waterfall Trail Explorer t-shirt. And this is the only way you can get these items. So I've been really excited and seen folks with the t-shirt out in public and been like, oh, you've been to 20 waterfalls across the state. I know you must have in order to get this. And then if you go to all of them, you can even get a custom print from Base Camp Printing that we worked with them on, this waterfall print. But I love the waterfall trail. I could talk about it all day, but I think it's a really fun, interactive way for everyone who's interested in those to come out and experience maybe new parts of the state because you're following those waterfalls around the map. We're thinking about in-state travel to an extent when we launched the Waterfall Trail, and we've seen a lot of in-state folks take advantage of it, but we've also seen people from 49 states check in on the Waterfall Trail. If anyone knows anyone from Hawaii and can, put a pitch in for our waterfalls here, I think that they have some of their own that are pretty good, but Hawaii we're missing. But I think the Culinary Trail, other initiatives like that, we're always looking at. Waterfalls were one that were very top of mind because when we look at how our social media images and videos perform, waterfalls are always up there, near the top in terms of engagement with content. So that was one reason we wanted the Waterfall Trail to be a data-driven thing.
Now, as far as the passport goes, we still produce it. We are in talks now to try to change it. It's been around for quite a while now, and it's a very static piece. It's a print piece, mainly used as summer promotion. People do send us their stories, but it's not the easiest thing to do now in a day of its. Today, everything is so easy to do right from your phone, and we still get a lot of people that ask for the coins and request the little passport, but we want to get a wider usage out of it. So I think you'll be seeing changes in that within the next year. Something that is more interactive, that people can actually check in out in the fields so that we can know to send them the stuff immediately instead of them having to go home and reach back out to us. So yes, that is an ongoing project with changes ahead.
No, and I love it. I just think it's just such a great piece that we have, and you all put it together so well, and I think people really enjoy it, and I know I do. I have a couple of them, actually, so. Josh, did you want to? Okay, well, we'll just move on. We're just going to go to, in addition to our international travels that we're seeing, are there other specific target markets or demographics that the state's focusing on, or our area? And if so, what kind of strategies are we using to find them, reach them, and get them here?
Well, I think locally, you all can probably speak to this better than I can, but as far as I'm aware, we really are focused on those metro regions I showed the map of earlier, and now in addition, Canada and Europe as well, but focused on those regions where we know folks already have a propensity to travel to West Virginia. They already, can get here within a day's drive in many cases. So that's often a selling point, is it's an affordable destination. In terms of who we're marketing to, I mean, we have a very complex system of doing that probably our marketing team could speak to a lot better than I can. But from my understanding of it, they're doing very targeted online marketing. Folks who they already know have started, Googling the types of words that trigger and get them to think of West Virginia as a destination that they want to come to. Another data point surrounding that is just that one of our best predictors of who's going to visit West Virginia is if they've already visited West Virginia before. So people really tend to come back, and I know that's a demographic that we market to, is people who have already visited us once before or more than once, and we're trying to raise awareness again to them and say, hey, this is somewhere you could come back and visit again. The flip side of that is if we can get new visitors who have never been to West Virginia before, then of course they're going to be those repeat travelers again. But I mean, you all can probably speak to that better.
Yeah, about repeat travelers. What would you say would be, how would you describe our repeat travelers in Southern West Virginia?
Well, I'd say first, like she said, you got to get them here the first time for them to keep coming back. And I don't know, people love it. I mean, when I've had so many people tell me, and I think we would all agree this is probably the best part of our job, is like rediscovering everything through somebody else's eyes. Every time you meet somebody who's here for the first time, they're usually surprised. You usually hear, I had no idea all this was here. And then the next thing out of their mouth is, I'm going to have to come back because I need to do more of these things. We saw that progression firsthand when we started doing the Spartan race in Southern West Virginia. The first year, there's like 10,000 people out there. And I really don't feel like we had a lot of people who had visited West Virginia before. And we heard it all day long. I had no idea this was here. We heard it all day long. Now, 10 years or whatever it is later, these people are coming and they're like, oh yeah, we've been here since Wednesday because we came down to do these things, or we're staying until Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever so they're buffering this race that they used to just come in, do it and go, as part of a vacation, as part of an experience, and they're bringing people with them to do these things. So we've seen that progression, firsthand in events like that. And I would even go as far as like the Jamboree. When I was at the Jamboree this year, I had 2 different people tell me stories about that was their first experience in West Virginia, was the Jamboree. One of them were getting ready to move here, and the other one chose their college based on the experience they had here. So there's just a lot of different ways, that when we see these people and what they think of West Virginia and they keep coming back. And as far as how we reach them, it's the same thing. We do a lot of the co-op advertising with the Department of Tourism. We do it as an individual CVB, but we also partner with other CVBs in our region. We're doing an actual full regional one right now where we have almost probably everybody from the New River Greenbrier Valley as partners. We've done co-ops with Winterplace, ACE. I mean, we're always open to partnerships for the cooperative program because you just really are not going to get any better bang for your buck through that. We do, however, do our own targeting, and retargeting the people that we know are visiting our website, and provide and do lookalike audiences and stuff from the folks that have came and interacted with us or on our newsletter list and things like that. And as far as the age groups, I've seen a big change in that. I would tell you that when I started working at the CVB and you would look at our analytics, everybody was like in an older age group category. It was like that 45, 50 plus. Now, if you look at our analytics, it's almost even across the board in all the age categories. We've seen that progression go from that. They keep getting a little younger and a little younger. So I feel like we're reaching a wider audience now.
Yeah.
I think, like you said earlier, the charm of our hospitality industry. It's easy once we get them here. The challenge was getting them here. telling them about West Virginia, showcasing West Virginia. One of tourism's most recent publications, it might be the annual report, says the secret's out. So the secret is out. West Virginia is awesome. It's just getting people here for the first time, and like Lisa said, once they're here, they're like, I'm coming back, and I'm going to do this and this and this, and I'm going to stay longer, and I'm going to bring more people, and that's our goal.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, and that I think is the goal for Visit Southern West Virginia, is to get them to stay longer, right? So that's, I mean, you have the 9 counties, is that correct? Yeah, and so there's a lot to do. I just wanted to make sure I had that number right.
So there's a lot of things to do in those 9
so.
counties. So.
But yeah, so I mean, you know, you really work in all of these communities to get individuals to stay longer and to really have that experience. And I think that that's great. And I don't think that, you know, you get enough credit for that. So thank you, Lisa, for all that you do for us. Well, I know that we still have some time left, but I may wrap this up a little early. But I just want to say, like, what role in all of your areas do you see community involvement playing in the success of West Virginia's tourism efforts? And how can the residents of Beckley, Raleigh County, Fayetteville contribute?
Let me go. I'll go. You know, being a ski resort, we have a much smaller specialty niche. But, you know, I talk to people all the time in the sense of, you know, when I was a kid, I would have killed to have a ski resort, you know, within 15 minutes from, you know, the nearest biggest town. And I think it's such a huge, you know, benefit to the community to have something like that. And we have so many different special niches so close to us, which is great. But just being able to, you know, like I said, kind of goes back to school, the kids, and just being proud of, you know, what we do have to offer. And I do think that's, you know, going to take time to continue to build. But I think it definitely starts with the youth, and then just being thankful for what we do have so close by. You know, I always preach to our staff, you know, attitude and effort are the only 2 things that we can control. If you just really break it down very simple. And gratitude is such a huge piece of our attitude, and just being thankful for those. So I think getting that awareness out and being thankful for being able to provide something for all of our guests.
I'd agree with that. Be proud of who you are, where you're from. Advocate for West Virginia. Change the stereotype. Be proud of your backyard. Take your staycations and talk about them. So you are promoting your state, your home, you're traveling in your state, you're being an advocate for West Virginia. So you want to help to change the stereotype of West Virginia, which I think we've done a really good job at with the help of the West Virginia Tourism Office. Use your CVBs and your chambers in your communities. Use them as resources. If we don't have the answer, we will get the answer. And share the good word about West Virginia and our charming hospitality industry, our kind people. Help to promote, like, the Governor's School on Tourism. There are so many resources out there that we need to be pushing so that our workforce can get stronger and our hospitality industry can get better.
Well, I grew up here in Beckley, and I have told everybody, if you've talked to me, you've heard this before, that there is nothing that I promote that I didn't do when I was little. I mean, this is, you know, we think of things as like, oh, what are we going to build for the tourist? Well, what are we going to build for our communities that the tourist is going to enjoy as well? Because I feel that, like I said, I grew up here. We went to all the state parks. We went to Theater West Virginia. We went to the coal mine. I lived at the New River Park because I could walk there. So there's just things that now I'm promoting. I mean, I just wish I would have known more. You know, I wish I would have done more as a kid. So I think having the opportunity, like you said, you take your kids out. We did the same. We drug them everywhere. And, you know, but that instills a sense of pride in them when they get those opportunities. But I think understanding that these activities, like when, you know, I know there's a lot of trails being built. There's a lot of opportunities that, you know, people are looking at it as we're building this because we have the national park and we want these tourists to come. Yes, we do. But we're also building it because we want our community outside. We want our community to be healthy. So, you know, I think as these things develop, you know, look at your community. Look at what they want as well. Don't just think of what the tourist does, because they will come. If your community and the people in it embrace these things and they love it, they're going to tell their own story. And that makes our job easier. And these people are, you know, are going to come and do the things. So I think that it needs to all tie together as one. I really don't think of anything that I do and think, well, I'm going to do this for the locals and I'm going to do this for the visitors. They're one and the same.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a wonderful point to make. And I would just add to that in terms of community involvement. I mean, we don't know about the resources unless the community members tell us in many parts of the state. So I think the waterfall trail is an example of that. We had a nomination form. We had waterfalls we had never heard of that got nominated, and then we, you know, sent people out to look and said, yeah, this is a great waterfall. We need to add that the local community already knew about. And certainly the ones that have been added in Beckley, it was because people were involved and said these waterfalls need to get added. So that's just an example of that. But other types of, you know, what can you all do, anybody who's out there today, to help promote tourism across the state? A really simple thing you can do is use our hashtag #AlmostHeaven when you're sharing photos of your own trip. And you all probably have hashtags too. We've gotten a little bit of traction with Almost Heaven, but any hashtags to add?
We just use Visit WV.
Visit WV.
Hashtag Go Gorge.
You got a hashtag?
Ski Winterplace.
Well, yeah. Ski Winterplace.
Hashtag Glade Springs.
Hashtag. Thank you. But use those. That sounds maybe kind of silly, but if you've got a public Instagram, public profile, and you're sharing your photos of these beautiful scenic views of what you're doing, going out there in the state, and museums, anything you want to share that a visitor might be interested in, that really helps. Because what we find is people who are looking at social media content, they're more likely to interact with an authentic, you know, person who's sharing that versus any paid ad that we could do. So I think that's one way to help. We also have a blog on our website called the Explorer blog that literally anyone can write a blog and give us, you know, an itinerary of where you would go in your region, maybe a list of restaurants, anything like that. So we do look to the experts across the state to contribute to that. And in terms of another thing you can do just as community members is to review trails on an app like All Trails, or to review even tourism businesses and really shout out those ones that are doing a great job. Those reviews on online listings make a huge difference in terms of where people are going to choose to book and stay. But then just to go back to what you all were saying in terms of, I think just being proud of being from West Virginia, that certainly is something that I feel really proud of, being from Mercer County. And I think is one of the biggest things everyone can do is just be proud of where you're from.
Thank you, Ennis. You know, talking about being proud of what we do and where you're from, and, you know, continuing to, you know, share that with everyone that you meet. And I think that's something that West Virginians in general just have. And we really want people to feel that same way. And so when we get them here, I think we do, as tourism professionals, hospitality professionals, we do give them the best of West Virginia. So, and Tamarac's not here. So, but and I think, and there's a lot of other tourism entities that are not here. I mean, the Bechtel Summit Reserve, you know, I think that they are huge. And of course, Tamarack and Exhibition Coal Mines. I mean, there's so much to do in our area, and I just really want to encourage everyone to, you know, play in your backyard. But, you know, I'm going to kind of close a little bit early, but is there anything that you all want to share with anybody out there, whether it's a a plug for what you're doing or anything that you want to share, one of your proudest moments or anything just to kind of wrap this session up. I'll kind of start while, if you want. I just want to let everyone know I'm really proud that the resort at Glade Springs has a New River Gorge tour. It starts at Glade Springs at 11 a.m. and you get to see 2 of the 4 visitor centers on this tour. You hop on the bus at 11 a.m. We go to Grandview. You get a lunch, walk around with a tour guide, and they'll take you on the hike. You can have your lunch there. The visitor center opens right at noon, so by the time you're there, you can get your passport stamped, and then we all get back on, and then we go to Canyon Rim. And from Canyon Rim, we do all the things there, try to get there right at the right time at that 30-minute mark so they can see that video. That's really special and unique. And then from there, we do the first view, and then we do all the stair walk. And then from there, we go to the Swiftwater General Store, so you can see this really great atmosphere for a general store. We go under the bridge, and then we end the day at Bridge Brew Works, where we take advantage of our local craftsmen beer and beverage, or root beer, should you prefer. And then we get back to Glade by 6 o'clock. So it's a full day, and I'm just really, really proud. It's like something that I thought that, I know that there are places in Fayetteville that are doing it, and places around, not in this area though. So I right here in Beckley, I would say. But I'm just really proud that we have that and we offer that. So tell your friends, and you can come out to the New River Gorge tour with the Resort at Glade Springs.
Well, I think we've seen things like that come online. You guys doing that, and Becky mentioned the eco tours. I've been doing this a long time, and if I look back and I try to think of all the things that have been created or built or has taken off since I started in the tourism industry, it is just crazy. When I started, there wasn't Tamarack. There wasn't the Summit. There wasn't. There was so many things. There just wasn't. But as they came on board, it was just like one little thing at a time. And I think we're starting to see that, like you said, with the more offerings they have, the better we are. We have obviously the Park Service put out their numbers. They saw this. They were, I guess, it was almost double the national average in visitation that they saw at the New River Gorge National Park. I think it was 4% nationwide, and theirs was over 7%. So these people are coming. We just need to put our best foot forward, have those new activities like that coming, and be sure, and I know that Heather obviously does, but be sure if you know of anything, or if you're having an event in our region, make sure you let your Convention and Visitors Bureaus know. We have a 10,000 plus subscribed newsletter. We have 70, 80,000 people on social media. We want that information to push out, and a lot of times we don't find out about it till the day before or when we see it in the paper. But those are things that I think would help us do our jobs better if you have that.
Yeah, I would also say if you are over in the Fayetteville area, you should check out the Canyon Rim Visitor Center. They've newly renovated. It's beautiful in there. They were closed for about a month and a half, but you should check that out. Also going to plug something for the Fayette County Chamber of Commerce. This is not exclusive to Fayette County businesses, but we are having a job fair on April 17th at the Memorial Building in Fayetteville. And that is open to all businesses. If you are seeking employees, please feel free to register. Our website is fayettecounty.com. It's all spelled out. Job fair on April 17th, and we have an event called Good News Fayette County on April 23rd, and that will be held at the Gaines Estate in Fayetteville, and that is all good news, and it's a wonderful event. You will walk out of there smiling. Your heart will be smiling.
Last, I'll just add, I'll shift gears a little bit, but in your presentation, there was a couple slides about grants and different programs available. And forgive me because you guys have such a huge name, but the New River Gorge Regional Development Authority, good job. last year kind of came out and met with me, and we're looking into some different projects, and then we found like the energy efficiency improvement grant, which is a REAP grant, that we've worked really hard through this winter to get submitted. We haven't gotten approval or declined yet, so I'll take that as good news. But it's something to where, you know, for us, it's 50 more snow guns, it's snowmaking pipe, you know, all new hill lights, which will completely change our nighttime product. So there's definitely a big piece of that to where, you know, we're putting up $1 million and we could possibly get half of that back. So there's definitely some really good opportunities out there. And like I said, if we just lean on our different community members and connections in the state, it's definitely worth looking into, and hopefully it all works out.
I would just add too, I'm really proud of the workforce offerings that we have, that, you know, working with that large federal grant has definitely been a learning process for our office. I'll share that it's the first federal grant Department of Tourism has had, at least in recent years. So we had to do a lot of learning to get some of those programs up and running. But to have an opportunity to be able to offer tourism businesses actual tuition or registration costs for these specialized trainings, I think is something that's really amazing. And in terms of economic development, I'll also plug another organization we work with a lot is called Partner Community Capital, and they have a program called the Recreational Economies Initiative, REI, that is specifically for tourism businesses for lending and technical assistance. So somebody who's trying to start a new outfitting business, or they're trying to get, you know, lending for an existing business because they're going to add something new to the tourism economy, they are a great resource that we're sending folks to almost on a weekly basis too. And then just finally, I'm really proud to be here today and be partnering with everybody on this stage. I think it's super, super important that we continue all those partnerships across the state. So thank you.
That's great.
I just random this. I just saw Molly in the
Please, go
thing.
ahead.
I
We
saw
got
Molly.
plenty
One thing, and you hadn't mentioned, in addition to the waterfall trails, the swings.
Oh, the swings.
Oh, yeah.
How could I forget the swings? Yeah, yes. Well, I mean, I can certainly talk about them a little. Is there anything specific you want? Okay. Very amazing. When is that one coming in?
I think it's coming in May. We should have one in Lake Stevens in May.
Very cool. So these Almost Heaven swings. Yay, Molly. These Almost Heaven swings, if you haven't heard of them, you may have seen them online because folks are often posting them on Instagram. It's one of our most popular offerings, I think, is these swings we put up. We started them one in each travel region, and then it's just expanded from there. But one of the really cool things about these swings, you know, they're great photo opportunities, but they're also handcrafted by students in Nicholas County. The Nicholas County Career and Technical Center has built those. They designed those with us. And so every swing that you're sitting on, that's actually also part of our workforce programming as well, in a way.
And it's also part of the co-op advertising program.
And it's part of the co-op advertising.
That opens in June, correct?
And Becky and I we did the West Virginia Day at Babcock the day that it went in there. Yes.
And that was also a learning process. We learned sometimes you have to drill through a lot of rock to put a swing like that in, and sometimes you need more tools than you realized when you went out there to install a swing.
Well, I can't thank you all enough for being here and sharing your expertise and everything that you do for our industry and just being these amazing champions. Thank you so much. I want to give them a round of applause. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm just going to end with one of my most favorite travel quotes. Blessed are the curious, for they shall have adventures. And we have adventures in our backyard. So take advantage of that. Get outside, go play in all of our places, and just continue loving West Virginia like I know that you all do. And our industry will continue to soar and rise, and we are really excited for the future of West Virginia tourism and for our local community. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you again, Heather, and to Ennis and Lisa, Becky, and Josh. That was really good information that shares what's happening around us with regard to tourism. While they were talking, did anybody else download their culinary pass? I did. I now have it on my phone. I'm telling on myself. I didn't have it before now. But it's good to see places that I'm familiar with and also a lot of new ones as well.